we often see similar trends that sort of circulate. And so everyone tries them and they're super fun. But if you can differentiate yourself a little bit, maybe offer some of those fun, trendy items, but find something that is a little bit different too. Welcome to the Breadwinner Podcast. This is the show for sourdough microbakery owners who are building a sustainable, successful, profitable business from their home. If you are already in business or if you're dreaming of starting one, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Caroline Bauer. I own a successful in-home sourdough bakery, and I am here to share everything I've learned that works and that doesn't, plus everything that I'm researching along the way so we can build thriving businesses together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Podcast. It's Caroline here, and today we are going to be answering some questions from you. So I recently opened up a Q&A box on an Instagram story and asked y'all for some questions, and I thought it would be really fun to answer some audience questions here on an episode. I ended up getting several questions, enough that I'll be answering in 2 episodes, so this is part 1 of 2 of listener Q&A questions. And I would love to hear from y'all if you like the format of this episode. And if so, we will keep doing more of these every month or so. I think it's a fun one, and I'm excited to answer some of the questions that came in. So we will be answering 3 questions in this episode. And the overarching theme is boosting profits, working more efficiently, saving time, and maximizing the holiday season. So if any of that sounds good to you, stick around, listen to the whole episode. There's some good nuggets in here, and I am excited. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that it has been a few months since I have opened up the application for a free coaching episode, but I am opening that up again for a short while. I have space for a couple of coaching episodes in the next couple of months, and I would love for you to apply. So this is for you if you have all your ducks in a row and you're just not quite sure how to take the first step, or you've been growing, maybe hit a plateau, or you're growing so much that you don't have the capacity and can't keep up. Apply for a coaching call. And these episodes are recorded and they're free. And I'll just be accepting a couple of applicants with the most relatable questions. If you don't want your episode recorded, or if I run out of space for applicants, I do have paid coaching calls available as well. So I schedule in some space for these throughout the week. This is an opportunity for us to sit down on a video call face to face, just the two of us, and go deep on something to help you build your sourdough microbakery business. Whether that is getting you going off the ground, or whether that's overcoming a plateau, accessing new customers, or keeping up with the demand, knowing how to scale, knowing what to invest in. We can talk about any and all of that and help you grow in your business. So if you want to book a call with me, there's a link down in the show notes. Or if you want to apply for one of those 2 free coaching calls that are coming up, that would be recorded and shared as an episode here on the podcast, you can apply down below. With all that said, let's dive into the episode. We are starting out with a fantastic question from Katie at Living Leaven Baking Company. She has a beautiful account, so make sure you're following her if you're not already. And she asked, what are some tips for increasing profit with items that are less time consuming to make? This is such a smart question because, as we all know, time is money. And it is the commodity that we have the least amount of, and we can't scale our time. So understanding how to maximize it in really smart ways is good business. So here are some specific ideas. This is not an exhaustive list, but this is a lot to get you thinking and get you started. So number 1 is considering how to utilize your freezer space as much as possible. So what can you prepare in a big bulk batch and freeze ahead of time so that you have enough to last for the whole month? And this could be cookie dough. I did a whole entire episode on this. So go back to episode 28 if you want a ton of ideas on things that can be frozen ahead of time. I asked the audience about that one and got over 20 ideas on things that people freeze and bake from frozen or prepare in bulk and keep in stock that don't have to be prepared day of. A huge time saver because you're putting in the time once to make a big batch. So, for example, anytime I sell scones, this past week I only sold 2 boxes of scones. Strange because it was like my top flavor. But anyway, I'm still going to make a batch of 6 because that is what my large batch comfortably makes. So I'll have the dough ready for 4 extra boxes of scones in the freezer for the next time that I offer it on the menu or for the market or for any opportunity where I might need some extra inventory. So cookie dough and scones are the top ones. Cinnamon rolls are another big one that you can freeze the dough and bake down the road when you're ready. And another thing that you can do if your cottage laws allow it, this is not allowed in all states, so check into it, but you could even consider offering your frozen dough as a ready to bake option. So customers love the idea of having fresh baked cookies, but maybe they don't feel comfortable making them themselves. So you offer the dough, they pop it in their oven and have fresh cookies. Again, that's not an option everywhere. Here in Texas, we cannot sell unbaked product. It has to be fully baked, so we can't offer our cookie dough, but it is an option in some places. Another thing that you could prep that is less time consuming is a big batch of something like granola or crackers. Make a whole bunch at once. This is pretty shelf stable, so store it in an airtight container for several weeks or up to a month, and then you have it ready for you throughout the month. They're a quick item, an easy sell, a fairly long shelf life, and something that's easy for a customer to add on to their order just to boost your average order value. Another thing that can be made in bulk and stored for a while is homemade jams and spreads. So if you have a little extra time, if you get a great deal on fruit when it's in season, consider making a batch of jams or a batch of marmalade. And then you can offer this as an upsell or a bundle offer too, if you want something like a loaf of bread with a jam. So without a lot of extra effort, you can make a whole bunch and have it on hand. You can even offer it in something like a gift basket for the holidays, which is something we're going to talk about more in a moment. So the next thing that you can do to increase profit without a whole lot of extra time, a little bit less time consuming to make, is if you're already making things in bulk, consider offering a bundle. For example, a breakfast bundle could include granola, a small loaf, and a jar of jam. So this can be created in advance, already pre-curated, and you can offer it in your pre-orders or you can offer it at your market booth, something that's easy for people to grab and just go. People also love to gift this sort of item. So if you present it in a way that's cute, they may bring it home and serve it on their breakfast table, or they may need to have something to bring as a hostess gift later that day. And so they just snatch it up. When it's already curated, people are more likely to purchase it as a bundle rather than the individual items. So when we're thinking about saving time, the best way to approach it in our business is to think about creating items in bulk. How can we make a large batch that can be stored in the freezer or dry storage for long term so that we're not making things on the fly every single week? For a long time in my business, I was making my cookies and my scones every single week in the moment, often even on bake day, and just putting it off to the last because they come together quickly. But I realized if I can bulk prep this and have it done in the first half of the week, that saves so much stress on bake day in the middle of the craziness. So these are just a few ideas for some quick, profitable items that can help maximize your time. Like I said, if you need more of these ideas, go back a few episodes to episode 28 and hear from the community about items that can be prepared ahead of time in bulk and frozen. Are you looking for a high quality, flavorful organic flour that you can feel confident about offering to both your customers and to your family? So I started baking sourdough after I got fed up with buying preservative and sugar laden gluten free bread because I have a gluten sensitivity. So I wanted to take back my own power to choose every single ingredient and know that the food I made from scratch was as nourishing as it could possibly be. And as I continue to make intentional choices about the ingredients that I choose for my family and for my microbakery customers, I've recently started using Sunrise Flour Mill's Heritage Organic Flour. Not only is it made from 100% organic, non GMO heritage grains, making it more easily digestible, it also just tastes so good. I feel absolutely confident that I am baking with the highest quality, most nutritious flour that I can find. And if you're looking for a flour that you can feel 100% good about, I cannot recommend Sunrise highly enough. They have generously offered 20% off to listeners of the podcast, so you can try their flour for yourself using the link down in the show notes. All right, now on to the holidays. Question number 2 came from Linda at breakbread.bakery.llc. Linda is a member of my Breadwinner Inner Circle coaching group, and she is building a beautiful business. And she asked, what are things that would sell well during the holidays, like gift baskets and special offerings? So there's a little bit of overlap from the last question, but this is a really fun one because you can get real creative with this. You can differentiate yourself from the market in this one by offering something that people are not seeing from all the other bakers in the area. If your area is anything like mine, and I know many others, there are a lot of people selling sourdough with more popping up every week. And a lot of them are offering very similar products because there tend to be trends that get shared. If you're active in the Facebook groups for microbakers, we often see similar trends that sort of circulate. And so everyone tries them and they're super fun. But if you can differentiate yourself a little bit, maybe offer some of those fun, trendy items, but find something that is a little bit different too. That's going to help set you apart from all the other bakers. So, with that said, to answer the question, here are some ideas to consider for selling during the holidays. So, things like gift baskets. Gift baskets, you can get real creative. You can do just the basic, like a loaf and a jar of jam. You could partner with some local businesses to offer local honey, maybe some local dipping oils or spice blends, and create a curated experience. Or, like we mentioned before, you could do a themed basket, like a breakfast basket, where you offer maybe a scone, a granola, a sweet loaf. If you're in a state that allows butter, you could do a beautiful whipped butter. I think it's really smart around the holidays to consider gift baskets as an option for like corporate and client gifting. People are looking for unique options for this. So if you market yourself in a way that targets realtors, insurance agents, financial advisors, people like this, and present yourself as a client or a corporate gift option. So a little bit of an elevated experience, partner with some, like I said, some really beautiful local businesses to curate a local foodie artisan experience featuring some of your baked goods and some other local options. Wrap it all up in a really beautiful basket. Things like a corporate or a client gift can often be sold at a little bit of a higher price point too. Because these organizations usually have an allocated budget for client gifting at the end of the year, they're ready to buy. And so your goal is just to differentiate yourself from the really easy client gift options that they can find online. So it's really easy to go and Google client gift basket and just click purchase and gets 10 sent to your clients. But if you offer a curated local basket and then maybe even offer delivery or offer to bring it to their office and make it really easy for them, just market really clearly, make it very valuable, and price it at a price point that the market supports. This could be a really great opportunity for you. Another idea would be to offer a holiday bundle that's only available on pre-order. So you could include holiday themed loaves, maybe something like a cranberry walnut or a rosemary olive, something that feels really festive, and maybe it's not a flavor that you offer all year or during wintertime. I offer a wintertime loaf, and people wait all year for it. And it's cranberries, pecans, and sage, and people love it. It's something like that that you only offer certain times of year and bundle a couple of flavors together as a holiday order, and they have to order ahead of time. Something like that can be a great option for this season. Another really fun holiday idea is offering mix and match minis. So customers love mini versions of things, especially around the holidays. So you can try offering mini loaves or treats like sourdough brownies or gingerbread cookies or spiced crackers or a variety platter of cookies. These are things that people love to give as gifts or bring as hostess gifts or add them to charcuterie boards if they're the one hosting. When you're sharing about this, be clear on the ways that people can use these mix and match minis. So give them those suggestions like put this on your charcuterie board if it's a variety of holiday flavored cookies, or break up this package and separate it into gifts, things like that. I will say with the mix and match, limit the options. So don't get too crazy on giving them endless customization options. Maybe give them a couple of themes like here's the sweet minis option, here's the savory minis option, here's the classics, and here's the variety. And let them choose. The more you're giving them the options, the more complicated it's going to be for you. So if you decide to go with something like this, don't make it harder than it needs to be if you're doing a mix and match sort of thing. You could even just do one minis platter, like a mini cookies. Or I love mini scones because they're really easy. So when I cut my scones, I cut them into triangles from a square. If you're on YouTube, you can see me making my square shape. But I cut them into a square, and that allows me to even cut that square in half more. This is easier than when you're shaping it into a round and cutting it into wedges. Those wedges are a little bit harder to make smaller. But if you're using a square and you cut it into eighths for a standard size scone, and then cut those eighths in half, you get a really nicely sized mini. And these can be really easy to package on a platter for a flight of scones. I am going to give you an idea for that in just a second. One way that I love to utilize the mini scones during the holiday season. But before that, one more idea is to offer DIY baking kits. This one's really fun, and it is something that a lot of people offer, but you might want to give it a try. This could be a cute curated basket that includes some of your dehydrated sourdough starter with simple instructions to start using it. You can put it in a cute basket or even put it in a banneton with a wooden spoon and a cotton cloth. Make it feel like a full experience, something where people can easily gift it to someone who wants to get started with sourdough. So give some really clear instructions. And that can be a great little gift bundle that you offer either in your pre-order menu or at your market table. The final idea in this category for holiday ideas is teacher gifts. So this is something that many people look for around the week before Christmas when school is ending. So I love to offer a scones flight. So I package it in just a little 7-inch charcuterie box. I can put the link in the show notes to the box that I love from Amazon. And I put 4 mini scones in 4 different flavors in there and tie it up really cute. So I use some pretty twine, a dehydrated orange slice, and a sprig of rosemary. So it looks beautiful. One thing that I also include is a blank gift tag. So this is super easy for them to just sign and send it to their kid with school. I keep it at a price point that is accessible because a lot of people have a budget in mind for gifting their teachers and there's a ceiling. So in my area, $10 is really a good price point for a teacher gift. But if you get above that, even 12, it's pushing it out of a lot of people's budget, especially if they have multiple teachers and admin and staff to gift to. Check out your market. Your price point may vary. Pricing is subjective, certainly. So that's what I've experienced here, but there's definitely variance across the country. And if you're out of the country too. But I do love offering some sort of teacher gift, whether that's a scones flight, whether that's a really cute cookie, a large cookie, or a little bundle of cookies, or even a couple of mini loaves tied up really cute. Another thing that I love to gift, this isn't in my script, but whenever I see really pretty cloth cotton napkins on sale, like at Home Goods, or sometimes I see them at local garden centers, I will grab them. If they're really affordable, I'll just grab that little bundle of cloth cotton napkins. And then I love to wrap up a gifted loaf in a pretty cloth napkin, tie it with twine, and maybe put a little sprig of flowers or herbs on there. And that's another really fun way to gift a product or offer a giftable product. As long as your price point stays low enough, it's a little bit of an elevated gift experience. That might not be a holiday like reselling gift experience, but if you're looking for a way to gift bread to people, tying it up in a pretty cloth is a great way to do it. All right, so that was some ideas to help your bakery shine during the holiday season, to offer some options that maybe are not being offered by the other bakers in your area. All right, and the final question of this episode also comes from Linda at breakbreadbakery.llc. And she asked how to set up or start teaching baking classes. I love this one. It is super fun. And this is a really great way to build your local community too and serve them in a way that is really tangible. A lot of people worry that teaching workshops is going to take away from sales from them, but pretty much anyone who has taught a workshop can tell you that's not their experience. I'm going to give a real brief overview of workshops in this episode, but to get a really deep dive, go back a couple episodes to episode 29. I interviewed Kayla Hembry. This was a brilliant episode. She shared all of her knowledge on how she structures her class, how she markets it, all the things. And she has taught over 1,800 people. So she knows what she's talking about. So if you want a deep dive on workshops, go back to that one. But here's some tips to get started. First, get over imposter syndrome if you have it. That was what held me back for a while. I didn't feel like I had the credibility to teach a workshop. I had to get over that first and fake it till I made it. But when I was ready, I went ahead and just taught out of my home. So that kept the class size small. I didn't have to tote things around. If you're comfortable doing that, just teach a real small group of 3 or 4 or 5 people in your home. I will say try it out on a friend first. This will help you get the flow of your class and notice anything that you might be missing. I did that with a friend first, and it was super helpful. It was also just super casual and fun and energizing to see her go home and start baking. And it gave me the confidence that I needed to teach a class to more people. So that first thing is to start small and start local, just a few people at a time. And then for your first class, just keep it simple. Do like a basic sourdough rather than something themed. A lot of people are teaching the pumpkin-shaped loaves, which is okay, but I would recommend starting with a real basic, simple starter recipe first. And then if you feel like offering an intermediate level class, go for it. But keep it simple first. You don't want to overwhelm your students and send them home with too much so that they're not successful. When I got started, what I did to figure out the most effective layout of the class was reverse engineer the process. So I wrote down the whole entire process. And then because it is a 24-hour process, I had to figure out how to condense it into 2 to 3 hours. And so it took a lot of kind of shuffling. I decided if I start at the beginning and we pull out some dough that I've already prepared that's ready to score, I let them score the loaves. So after those loaves go in the oven, we'll get some dough mixed up so they can get their hands in there and start to mix up their own dough. And then we'll feed our starter, talk a lot about starter. They usually have a lot of questions there. So anticipate that you'll spend some time there, but also be ready to cut off that conversation. That's some advice that Kayla gives too in her workshop. And then by that time, you're ready for a stretch and fold, and the loaves in the oven are probably ready to come out. So then you can talk a little bit more about starter, do another round of stretch and folds, go cut open that loaf and taste it and talk about what a baked loaf looks like. Show the anatomy, the ear and the belly and the crumb, and do your final stretch and folds, answer lingering questions. That's a very abbreviated timeline of what my actual workshop looks like, but it's totally doable. I send people home with a little brochure with some vocabulary and an easy process and a way to contact me with questions. I have a private Facebook group, which is totally optional, and let them know that you're not just leaving them out to dry. But that's kind of my structure as far as reaching people for the class. Promote it through your current customers. So if you have someone who's asking you to teach a class, start there. Ask them to share it with their friends, and then post it on your bakery socials and post it on local groups. That is really probably the most effective way to get the word out there. But especially if you have people asking for it, start with them. That's another way to find hosts. If you don't want to host it at your home, if you have people who are asking you about a workshop, you can say, I don't really have a space to do it, but would you be open to hosting a class in your home? I've taken a class to people's houses, and that can work really well too. And they're responsible for getting the audience together. Another option would be to look for a public area like a community center or a church, or even sometimes a local restaurant might rent out some space in the off hours. There's a local coffee shop here that rents out their space when they're closed in the evenings. Things like that to consider. And then overall, I would just say keep it beginner friendly. Try not to throw too much language and vocabulary at them, and make sure that it stays manageable. The last thing that I ever want to do, and I tell my students this when I teach a workshop, is for them to leave with more questions than they had. So make sure to create an open space where they can ask a lot of questions, but also if they have questions when they leave, which they will, make sure that they know how to get in touch with you. So that is a very broad overview on workshops. But like I said, if you want a deeper dive and a lot more specifics, go back to episode 29 and listen to Kayla's episode. She also is an open book and she offers consulting too. So if you want to work with her on a deeper level of exactly how you could structure your sourdough classes, Kayla offers that guidance as well. So this episode is already long. You could see why I had to break the Q&A into 2 episodes. So I will be back soon with the second part with a few more questions from the audience and my answers to them. I hope you enjoyed this. If you learned something, take a screenshot of the show and tag me on Instagram. I'm Caroline Bauer _sourdough. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast app, make sure you're following the show so you don't miss a new episode. They come out every Monday and Thursday. If you want to take a moment to rate and review the show, that would make my day. It also makes it easier for other people to find the show. This is a unique resource to sourdough microbakery owners, and I want to just continue providing as much value as possible and getting found by as many people as possible so they can cut to the chase and not waste time searching for answers, but find a one-stop shop where it's a lot easier to get answers here. Like I mentioned at the beginning, if you like this Q&A episode format, let me know and we'll do more of these in the future.